What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Gear4music Synth and Tech channel. My name is Theo, and today I am joined by prolific front-of-house engineer Andy May, and we're going to be checking out the brand new compact digital mixer from Yamaha, the DM3. Let's check it out. Okay, Andy, thank you so much for joining us today at the lovely Fulford Arms in York. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and a little bit about your career and background?
Okay, I'm Andy. I do front of house sound for Status Quo, mostly. Over the last 20 years or so.
Cool.
Worked for many other bands during and before that time. Pretenders, Human League, Belinda Carlisle, Gary Moore, and lots of others. And yeah, I've always been a front of house engineer. And fell into the Quo gig, and it's been with me ever since. And I really enjoy it.
Wow, so much experience on your belt working in, I guess, so many different spaces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So why don't you tell us a little about what we're going to be doing today?
Okay, so we're going to be looking at the Yamaha DM3, which is a compact digital mixer from Yamaha, and exploring what it can do. It's a tiny little console, nice and rugged.
So small.
Packed with loads of stuff from the bigger consoles.
Yeah.
So it should be easy to get on with and should be super reliable.
And we're going to be recording a band today. We're going to be doing a live mix of 300-foot Gorilla.
Yeah.
Why do you think, the DM3 in this specific venue is going to work really well?
Well, firstly, it's tiny, but it's got all the facilities on that you would need to do a rock band. It's got all the compression, all the gates, all the classy effects that come with Yamaha. It's got 16 analog inputs. It's got a bunch of outputs so we can mix the monitors easily. It's very flexible and a powerful machine.
All right, sounds great. Should we get the band on stage? We'll get line checked, and we'll see you guys when we're in front of the DM3.
Let's do it.
Beginning to make me wonder if my part in the race is run. So if it's love that brought me here, then it's a good enough place.
Right then, Andy, here we are. We are all set up in the Fulford Arms. We have the wonderful guys in 300-foot Gorilla on stage, eager to get started. Why don't you talk me through now your setup, what we've got coming into the desk, what we've got going out?
Okay. So we've got a Yamaha DM3, 16 input mixer, 300-foot Gorilla. We're going to run to 14 inputs for this particular gig. Cool. I've already pre-checked that all the mics work, or all the channels work at least, so we know when we turn them up during a line check, what we've got to do is just get the gain correct, get the EQ correct, get any gates or compression in place, and then apply it to the PA. The way I'm going to run a line check is I've already checked the lead vocal and the backing vocal, and I've left them live. So they're turned up on the console and they're live. I do that because they're going to be live during the gig, and they're also going to influence the sound of the PA because the mics are going to be live. So if we turn them off and we just go with dead drums, we kind of fool ourselves into thinking that the drum sound will be great until you turn all the vocal mics up, and then it starts to get a little bit loose. So it's much more realistic to actually line check with the vocal mics on. So knowing that they're live, we'll start with the kick drum, because that's a traditional place to start in channel 1. We'll open it up and see what it's like. If you could give me some kick drum, please. Okay, so I'm quite happy with the bass drum, the way that that's come together. Done some what looks to be radical EQ. But actually it's quite usual for a kick drum, particularly in a smaller venue. On a smaller PA, you're looking for some low-end extension and some click to get the sound of the head of the mic. So the beta, when it hits the head, you can get that attack. It just gives it some tempo to what they're playing.
And it looked like it was really easy to get to there on the touchscreen.
It is really easy to access because the main part of this is the home screen. That shows you everything about the channel that you've got open. You select any of the channels and it will show you the home screen. And you can really access all the parameters you need from there. So if you really want to get into that EQ, you hit the expansion button, expand the screen, and it gives you a really good eye on what you can do with the equalizer, and you pick up the frequencies, and you can change the gain, the frequency, and the Q of the curve to where you need it. And it's quite easy, quite handy, particularly with low mid for me, and the way I work, to pick it up, get it on frequency. You know it's going to need a cut because bass drum always needs a cut somewhere between 100 and 300. And to pick up the frequency and be able to take it down in frequency, I've got the cut at 200 today. And that is quite typical for me for a bass drum EQ.
Nice.
So I'm kind of quite happy with that. We'll close it down again. Best way to close it down, I personally just go home, hit the home button, this blue one.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, brings us back to the home screen. Look at a noise gate has been applied, so we can again hit the expansion, open up the noise gate, deal with the parameters, instant attack, because we want to keep the click, and then hold it open just for the length of time that you want to. Don't let it decay too fast. And go back to home, got the whole channel in place there.
That's great.
So,
So,
yes.
I mean, even if you're new to the desk and you're starting to find stuff out, you get to a place maybe where you're not too sure where you are, you can press that home
It seems
button.
that way. I mean,
Right.
I am new to the desk.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it has that kind of familiar Yamaha navigation. If you have used any Yamaha consoles, there is familiarity between them from one to another. But this is, to me, it seems dead simple to use. And it shows you so much information just on that home screen. It's incredible, really. Shows you, where you could put sends, whether you've got phantom power on it or not. It's both dynamics available on the same screen. This is it's a game changer, really. It's
Wow.
good. So I'm going to move on. Snare drum.
Let's go for
Let's
it.
see how we go. Let's take a snare drum, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. I'd pre-guessed a few of the things I was going to do. I'd already added a little bit of reverb in just to give that a little bit of ambience to the drum, help the drum sound itself. Put a little bit of low end in just to make it warm, but again, easy to deal with. The other thing I did was change the equalizer, the low end, to a bell instead of a shelf.
Sure.
So you can actually just pick a frequency and just boost around to that frequency rather than all the way down. So that's dead easy to do.
Do you think
Again,
you could,
hit home, and we're back.
Do you think you could show me how we get to that reverb and
Yeah, of course
how
I
we adjust
can.
those parameters
Yeah, okay.
as well?
So from working from a home screen, we're looking at the snare drum. This is This is where you would pick up your effects ends from. We've got the drums are on effects end 2.
Okay.
Okay, so you just use your input channel. This becomes the send to the effects engine. Effects 2. This is the machine we've chosen, which is the HD Hall, and you can adjust various parameters. I've got the reverb time down to 1.5, 19 milliseconds of delay, pre-delay, and then in the second set of parameters, you can adjust the ratio, the high pass filter, low pass, and the damping of the high frequency. So it's very adjustable. Although I tend to find that I don't occasionally get into the second set of parameters because they sound quite smooth and quite natural just the way they are. You might do in time, start to get more immersed in what you're doing. But essentially, you can switch any of these reverbs on and they're going to do what they say they'll do and sound good and clean. They've got lovely decay, but they sound really good.
I know that you've worked in some stadiums. You've used a lot of, really sort of high-end gear, and the DM3 is kind of more aimed at the prosumer, maybe the smaller venue. How would you say that the effects, the reverbs, stack up against some of that more high-end gear?
Well, honestly, this just feels like working on a shrunk PM.
Yeah.
It won't do as much, but what it does is it does little bits of all the essential things that you would do with the large console. And in this environment, the effects, to me, on my first listen, sound exactly the same as the effects that I would use in the larger consoles. So, I mean, all the features you need to do a good live mix and get really quality effects are available in here. By the seams of it, as I say, it's a first impression, but it's a very good first impression. I'm really pleased with it.
Right then, Andy, we've had a chance to check the drums. Now, before we move over to the bass, we have a listen to what the kit sounds like in the room.
Yeah, of course. We've got all the channels open to where I think they're going to kind of need to be to get us a complete drum sound. So let's have some time and some fills, please. Thank you very much.
Cool. Sounding absolutely great. What was it you were adjusting there, just about as he was playing?
Well, it was from tightening down the tom-toms. When we do the line check and we get the tom-toms individually, you're going to apply the noise gate, and you can get it kind of where you think it's going to need to be. But when they play the kit entirely with all the other noise going on, you find out that the threshold needs tightening up. So you can keep the gate closed until he actually hits the drum. Because otherwise, you just get too much spill in the mics. So it was basically just going across the tom-toms, tightening the noise gates down to a kind of agreeable average where they're not closed all the time, but they just open when he's going to go for the tom fills.
And it seems like you're just flying through the board there, you know.
Well, it's easy to do because so we were talking about the noise gates. If we just open the noise gate parameters there, pick channel, the first tom-tom channel, that's the noise gate for it. The way to do it is just pick the next channel and you're still on noise gate. You're still on noise gate. So you can flick between these three noise gates, or in fact the kick drum or the snare drum gate, without having to go back to the home screen. It's really, really easy to use.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like we're cool on drums. Should we move over to bass?
Yeah, let's move on to bass guitar, please, which is on a DI. Comes into channel 9 on the console, which is the next layer down. So very handy that this drum kit is taking up 8 inputs, so the whole layer is drums, and we'll come into channel 9, which is bass guitar. So some bass, please. Thank you. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the way that's gone.
Cool, and there wasn't anything new or different. Is you just using the same parameters again? Just
exactly the same, but we let's go back home. So we look at the channel. Not very much EQ, a little bit of low end lift just to extend the low end. Tiny bit of what I've chosen high mid to take out just a little bit of the clickiness from the frets and the strings, just at 1.6K, and I've gone for a compressor. So the dynamic 2 is by default a compressor. Dynamic 1 on the channel is always a noise gate. So we've gone for a dynamic 2, which is a compressor. We'll open it up and look at it. And actually, it's got a very useful feature, which is this one knob feature, which kind of pre-adjusts your ratio and your attack and your release time. So you can turn on the one knob feature, just turn up this one slider, and it seems to increase the threshold and the ratio at the same time.
Okay.
So I think it works a little bit like an old over-easy compressor does. So it's very simple and it's really useful on bass guitar. I've come across a little bit of this before. I've just tried it today for the sake of speed, really. Yeah. And it seems to sound great. So, yeah, good.
Amazing.
Let's move on to electric guitars.
Move on to electric guitar.
Thank you. So that's sounding good. And what we did there, we edited all the parameters. This is a stereo DI from a Helix. So we edited all the parameters on the left-hand side of the guitar to a sound that I liked, copy and pasted it to the right-hand side. So both channels are identical for left and right.
Wow. And
how
easy is that to do?
Dead easy.
Yeah.
There's a small tab there on the right-hand side of the screen.
Yep.
You pick it up on the channel that you're editing, pick up copy, then select the channel you want to paste it to, which is the channel next door, hit paste, and it'll take those parameters over. If you're in expanded view, it takes over the expanded parameter. If you're in home view, it takes over all the settings from the channel.
Sure.
So really useful, makes it real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It's smart. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Right, so guitar sounding great.
Yeah. We've got 2 vocals, which is a drum vocal and a lead vocal. Remember, we've line checked these already, and they've been open since the start of the line check. So all the sounds we've heard are actually influenced by the vocal sounds being open. the vocal mics being open. So if they're happy with their vocal levels on stage and monitoring, then we can start to put a bit of a sound check together with the band playing, and then increase monitor levels if required. There's 4 different sends of monitors from the console, they're all on wedges. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they've kind of got individual mixes, but because the stage is compact, you know, there's going to be a lot of spill, and you're going to be looking for a general coverage mix, really, which, as we know, is going to be essentially vocals. So at the moment, there's vocals in the monitors. I think we're going to ask the band to play a song that they know well. There's not too thrashy and too busy. Something that's well controlled as a song, and see where they're going as a sound. And let's listen and see where we're at. Whoa. It's all right. Wow. Yeah, sounds great.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah, so how are you on stage, guys, for levels of stuff? Can you all hear everything?
I'd like some guitar.
You'd like some guitar? I can do that.
I'd like some guitar as well.
Okay. You'd all like guitar?
There's no guitar.
There's never enough guitar. Or bass drum. Okay.
So everybody wants a little bit more guitar in their monitors. So why don't you show me how the monitor sends work in the DM3?
Okay, so let's go from what I call the master. We're still looking at the way the left and right runs. We're in home mode. Let's pick up the guitar. So this guitars are in stereo. So we'll pick up this left-hand guitar channel. And then we go to outputs. We're using 4 mix outputs to send to all these wedges. The guitar player is on our left-hand side. We're going to pick up mix 1, which is here. And we're going to take a guitar channel, which is here. And we're going to open it up into the mix. So the sends become on the fader. We'll give him a little bit of the left and right, so he's got a composite signal. Let's ask him to play a little guitar and see if he can hear his guitar and his wedge. Best one. Yeah? You can hear some guitar in his wedge. So let's apply that to the other mixes. So we go to mix 2, which is the center vocal. Let's apply that in there. Not quite so much, maybe. Let's set down at minus 15. Let's go to the mix 3, which is the bass player's wedge, and apply again minus 10. And let's go to mix 4, which is the drummer's monitor, and let's apply that again at minus 10. We're going to ask the guitar player to play some guitar, ask the band if they can hear the guitar and the wedges. Good idea when you do this, just to make sure they don't get confused with what's coming out the front of the house, is to just mute the front of the house.
Sure. And
let's see if we've got guitar on stage. So you can play for me, please. Everyone's got guitar on stage.
Perfect.
So we'll put the masters back on. Any other requests for anything on stage at all at the moment? No? Okay, so they're happy with the balance on stage. We'll turn the masters back on, ask them to play another song. Anything that they want to do that they feel comfortable, that's a good representation of what they're doing. So up to you, fellas. Okay, PA's back on. So we've turned the PA back on. Everything's live.
Cool.
We're good to go.
Let the light inside and let it give you home. But you never know.
Right then, Andy. So we've heard that full mix of the band, and it sounds absolutely incredible. I'm so surprised that such a small desk can do so much. Even in a venue of this size, I'm used to walking in and seeing, you know, the large mixing desk, you know, bunch of outboards and stuff. But this really does replace a lot of that in this tiny little unit. And there are actually 2 versions of this, right? So there's this DM3 and what's the other one?
It's the Dante version.
The Dante version.
Yeah, so we're running an analog multi-core
Sure.
with the mic line straight in the back of the console. But there's another version that's got a digital stage box, Dante Snake. And obviously you have the advantage of being able to split that across many. I think we're doing a Cubase recording today. So yeah, it's flexible. It's a very
Totally
flexible thing.
Yeah, it works great, you know, in this live setting, and it would also work great as an interface at home as well as a, you know, as a 16-channel interface.
Yeah,
you can record, and that is what we're going to do right now. So we're going to record the band from here into Cubase, so we're going to take that away and we're going to mix it, and that is what the people at home are going to hear.
Listen to, yeah.
So should we let the band take it away?
Let's let them do it. Let's have another one, guys, please.
Slow, let the light inside, let it give you hope. What you never know, you may not buy inside and let it give you hope. Sleep, oh, sleep, come on, sleep, sleep, come for me soon. But not too soon. Oh, not too soon.
All right then, guys, I really hope you did enjoy that performance. It sounded absolutely amazing in the room with Andy's mix. You guys were hearing it. We recorded the audio through the DM3 into Cubase, took that away and mixed it. I'm sure it sounded absolutely amazing, proving that the DM3 is a great interface. Now, I'm sure you agree, Andy, if you do have a medium or a small size venue, I think we've proved that the DM3 is the perfect product for you.
Yes, it's great. It will cover all the bases you want to do. It's got good effects engines, really good EQ, good head amps. It sounds absolutely great, and it's easy to use. We know it's going to be reliable.
Yeah.
It's a Yamaha product. It'll be good. I mean, also, not just venues. You could actually take this on a tour, providing your channel count isn't huge. It's going to be fine. I mean, there isn't a compromise. It's perfect.
There you have it. The DM3, no compromise. Straight from the horse's mouth. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, guys, please leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. And if you have any questions, as always, please do not forget to give us a cheeky like and subscribe so you can catch more content like this in the future. Andy, thank you so much for today.
Pleasure.
See you again soon, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Oh, not sleep. Come on, sleep. Sleep on for me soon. You're not too